Jaime Diaz, always great to spend time with you, my friend.
Yes,
what intangibles did Tiger Woods bring to that year? We know he's a great golfer, but there was something else going on.
I think he had a kind of a no-limits kind of mentality that golfers had never really accepted about themselves before. It's like it wasn't really possible to do it all well. And Tiger just had the vision that he could be a complete player, that he could be the first guy to have it all. And I think he was really excited by, redefining what dominance really is. And he had an incredible work ethic. He had incredible focus. His mom used to talk about, even as a 3-year-old, he had this ability to complete all his little tasks. Whatever he started, he wouldn't just leave it there. He'd finish it. And all those things, I think, carried over into his golf. Obviously, he was not just ability to focus, but also just feel like, a calmness and actually love the pressure moment as, this is going to define me and this is what it's all about and I should embrace it. And, it wasn't anything uncomfortable. He felt more calm in those moments and, the ability to get it done in that, I think, I often thought, watching Michael Jordan, in his prime, Tiger was growing up with him and, he actually loved Kobe more. But I thought Michael brought that to basketball, the end of the game, how do you finish? And Tiger, I think, really relished that.
This idea of feeling calm, even as he's building pressure upon himself, is intriguing, Jaime, because when you look at the cadence of that season, he won Pebble by 2, then he won Bay Hill by 4, the Memorial by 5, the US Open by 15, the Open Championship by 8.
Yeah.
Then he won at Firestone by 11. The outlier in there was Bob May, actually took him to a playoff at Valhalla in the PGA Championship. The fact that he was able to just keep sailing like a shark with no peripheral vision on a streak like that, what does that actually do to the other rivals that he had at the time, that this guy can just keep doing this week in, week out?
I think those guys, kind of innately know who has the most ability, and they also understand how someone reacts mentally, and they could see it, they could feel it. Ernie Els said after Memorial when he won by 5, it's over. And of course Ernie had seen it firsthand at the first tournament in Kapalua. Actually, Tiger was beaten a couple of times early in the year. Mickelson got him at Torrey Pines, and Darren Clarke beat him in the finals of the match play, and then Hal Sutton beat him, and he finished 5th at the Masters. But then in April, at the end of April, he started messing around with the new Nike Tour Accuracy, and it gave him just a little extra edge. And as you know, the margins are so tight in golf. If you get a superior player gets a little more extra edge, suddenly, instead of just contending all the time, he's actually winning. And that's when he really took off as far as true dominance, a dominance that hadn't been seen, since maybe never.
Yeah, to that point, some would say, well, Jack has more majors, so he's the greatest of all time. But you can make an argument, I would guess, that the year 2000, has anyone ever played golf better than Tiger Woods did that summer?
I think, the designation is, Jack has the greatest record. Tiger played the greatest golf. I think we can forget a little too easily Byron Nelson. He won 18 and 11 straight in 1945. I think the difference is that Tiger was a more dynamic player. And of course, he had bigger stages, not only with the media, but to do what he did at Pebble and at St. Andrews, 2 of the greatest, venues.
Yeah.
And Byron, unfortunately, only had 1 major to play in 1945. The other 3 had been canceled, and only the PGA was there, and he actually won that one. But, he was more machine-like, very accurate. Of course, I never saw him other than on television, and it was tremendous. But I think Tiger brought, power and precision and this charisma. And he just brought gravitas to golf that hadn't been there before.
There's so many memorable moments from that year, and we're seeing some of them here. But, there was that 6-iron from the fairway bunker in Canada. There was the hole out at Pebble, this moment here in the playoff with Bob May at Valhalla. Is there one moment, Jaime, in that 2000 season that even now, a quarter century later, is still fresh in your mind?
Yes, because he felt like he hit the ball his very, very best of his career at St. Andrews and winning the British Open by 8 strokes. Even though he won by 15 at Pebble, that was an incredible putting exhibition. He hit it great, but he hit it better at St. Andrews. And the shot that he loved the most, and to see it, you can sort of almost see him relishing it as he's flying through the air, because he didn't really twirl it. He just kind of stood there and said, okay, that's as good as I can do, was a 3-wood second shot on the 14th, the par 5, called long, overheld bunker, and he had 272 into the green. Here it is. There's left to right wind. And he told Steve Williams, "Is that the one you're talking about?" You know, because he said, "Let's see it. You know, let's see the best shot." And he did. He just put it purely where he was aiming at the television tower. You could see the town in the background. It was just a great stage. And he pulled it off, and you could feel like, and they gave him a six-shot lead at that point with a round to go. And it was kind of a closing shot in a way. It was like, I've got it this week, and there it is, you know.
I was covering the Lakers-Pacers NBA championship in 2000 when Tiger won at Pebble by 15, and I said, I'm going to go watch Tiger win the Open.
Right.
I'm going to go buy tickets to St. Andrews, stay in the dorm. I was told by Jeff Williams, the golf writer, and Art Spander. And it was as if I was going to watch a show. And Carson Daly talked about it. It's like you're going to see Michael Jackson. I was not going to watch the Open.
Right.
I was going to watch Tiger Woods complete the career. Like, it was inevitable. What other athletes could you say that about, especially in a game with a dimpled ball and a crooked stick?
And where the winning ratio is percentage is less than any other area. You could go say that about a dominant tennis player. I'm going to go see Djokovic win another Grand Slam. But to connect the two, I'm going to go see Tiger. No, I'm not going to see Tiger win.
Yeah.
You know, because that's just the inevitable part of it. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's why Tiger exists in people's mind as in a way that golfers would never imagine before. He transcended the difficulty of the game for a moment there. It wasn't for long. It was really only 4 months that he was really, truly at his peak. And it was hard to sustain, obviously. And he did win the Tiger Slam the next year, but I think those 4 months between, you know, May and I guess it ended at Canada with that 6-iron. And he won by 11 at Firestone. All those things just made it seem like when he's half on, he's just so much better than everybody. And, you know, it wasn't like he's just on a hot streak. No, he's just better. And he didn't really have to play his best. But then when he did, it was double-digit victories. By the way, I want to say about Nelson, he won 4 times in 1945 by double digits. So he was dominant, too, just in a different way, yeah.
Well, Tiger's almost 50, turns 50 at the end of this year. He's out injured. Is it likely in your mind now that we're much more apt to see him on the senior tour than we are on the regular tour going forward?
I think he will, because I think he really still loves golf, and I think he still relishes the challenge. And I think
think he wants to beat up on those guys?
Yeah, and he misses it. I think he misses the thing he did best and the thing that gave him so much meaning for so long. I think it still does give him meaning. He does have a record to kind of chase, which is the most USGA championships. If he wins the Senior Open, he'd have 10. More than Bobby Jones, who has 9. So that's kind of the outward record. But I think he just innately loves it and the joy of it and the challenge of it. And it's you know, unfortunately, a lot of his physical abilities have been taken. But I still think he finds it intriguing to still find a way because he still is quite, you know, able. Yeah. He's lost a little speed. He's lost a little flexibility. But I think the challenge of still hitting great golf shots, even with that handicap, almost makes it an extra incentive to show that he can still do it.
It's fun to look back at the year 2000, especially for guys of our vintage. I mean, no one does it better than you. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Well, one person who's got the unenviable task of trying to match Tiger Woods, Johnson Wagner. He's going to be on the road for the next 4 days. It's a surprise where he's going to be, but he's going to try to recreate some of those iconic shots from that 2000 season. You got to tune in to see where Johnson is going to be.